Same here. You're from Atlantic City?
Close to it, the shore area, the New Jersey shore.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
And good luck with your Facts of My Life book.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And I saw you in Ricky and the Flash playing Oma. That was wonderful.
Thanks. I love doing it. Oh, my God.
It looked like a lot of fun.
With Meryl Streep. It was wonderful.
Well, let's talk about some of those facts of your life. I'm going to take you way back with the Phil Silvers Show and a very popular episode called The Twitch.
The thing.
What do you remember about that?
Oh, well, people still remember it. When I did the Ricky and the Flash, people came up to me and said, I'll never forget you in The Twitch. They remembered The Twitch. And that's something from the Phil Silvers Show.
And you also did an episode with him called, you played a medium.
Yeah. Well, Nat Hiken was a brilliant guy. He should be in the Comedy Hall of Fame. He wrote the Phil Silvers Show and the Car 54 and the Martha Rae Show. He was brilliant. Yeah, he was a great writer.
And you got to work with him again on Car 54, which was done in New York, which was rather unique.
Yes, in Biograph Studio, where Mary Pickford used to play there. Mary Pickford, all those silent films. I sometimes felt like there was still some dust from those days still in the studio in the Bronx. Yeah. That was fun. Car 54 with what's his name?
Joey Ross, Fred Gwynn.
And Al Lewis.
I
loved working with them. They were fun. It
was a fun cast and a funny show, which is still running in syndication.
Yes. Isn't that nice? Yeah.
Was Alice Pierce? I've heard that she was a big influence upon you.
No, not really. But I loved her. My God, she was the dearest, funniest lady. Absolutely. Oh, my God, yes. Yeah. I think she was on...
she was on Bewitched.
Bewitched, yes.
And she had the Alice Pierce show in the early days of television. She had her own, variety show.
Oh, she was adorable. Wonderful. Yeah.
A very funny show from the middle 70s that I loved, and it was only on for 13 weeks, but Hot L. Baltimore, you played Mrs. Bellotti.
Oh, I loved that show, and Norman Lear, it was his favorite show. He was way ahead of his time. He had a gay couple that were so devoted to each other.
And a hooker.
and a couple of hookers. And Jamie Cromwell was the manager of the place. It was, and I played Mrs. Bellotti, who had a son upstairs.
I remember he buttered the hallway in one episode.
Yes.
He was always doing mischievous things.
Yes, and you never saw him, but you knew that he was very unusual, but you never saw him. And I loved the show, and the Bible Belt killed it, and it was ahead of its time, that's all.
I loved it. I was a kid. I was a teenager at the time, and I adored it. And I saw it again recently. The Paley Center in both Los Angeles and New York have a few episodes, and I got to see it again. It holds up. It's as funny as I remember it.
Yeah, it was. We were so sad when it wasn't picked up because the sponsors wouldn't pick it up in those Bible Belt areas. Yeah. Well,
how about your character Aunt Charlotte on the Paul Lynde show?
Well, I loved being on his show. I did a couple of them, episodes, and I'm so sorry that the show didn't run. But, they should have thought of some other way of bringing him forth on a series. It wasn't the best kind of situation for him, that particular situation comedy, and it didn't run. Well, I felt so sorry because he was so funny, such a funny man, wasn't he?
Oh, he was great. Hollywood Squares, and he always had the best lines.
Yeah, he was a very witty man, and we went to college together.
Oh, where was that?
Northwestern University.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we played opposite each other in the musical there for 3 years, and then we went on to New York together and couldn't get over that we were in New York and trying to get on Broadway and do all the struggles together. It was wonderful. Wonderful time, yeah.
There's a wonderful routine of yours from about 1954 talking about dieting. It's on a show called This Is Show Business. It's on YouTube. Do you remember doing that?
Oh, yes. I was the first person to bring out diets as overeating as like a sin, like alcoholism or drug addiction. It was very funny. Yeah. Yeah, and I met, what's her name years later, Jean Nidich, who started Weight Watchers. And she said, in California, she said, if I'm in California during an earthquake, I'm going to go under a door jamb with a cream puff in my hand.
That's great.
That's the way I want to go.
That's a good way to go. Now, of course, you're known for your comedy roles, but you were also in a soap opera called From These Roots.
Oh, yes, and with Tom, what was his name? Oh, my gosh. He was John Boy in the Waltons. What's his name?
Oh, Richard Thomas.
Richard Thomas was a boy actor, and I was playing a social worker psychologist with him. Yeah, that was I enjoyed doing that with him. He was so good. Yeah, I enjoyed that, and I did something with Nancy Malone, Brighter Days, years and years ago, and they wanted me to travel to L.A. It was going to go to L.A., and I just wanted to hang in with my family. My son, I had two sons, the writer, and then the one who was diagnosed autistic, and it was just impossible for us to move to California. It was a very, very stressful time.
How about playing the Tupperware lady on All in the Family?
Oh, I'll never forget that. All in the Family. I mean, what's his name was on suspension because he took leave of absence. Archie.
Carol O'Connor.
Yeah, and they asked me to do the alternate program, so I was the Tupperware lady, and I was so in awe. It was coast to coast, and it was the top show in the world, and I was so nervous, and Rob Reiner and everybody said, "Don't you know how wonderful you are?" You know, Gene Stapleton and everybody. And they just reassured me that I was very good, and it was a very funny episode. She was a dedicated Tupperware lady.
And I think I have time for maybe one more question. You got to play the same character on 3 different shows. Mrs. Garrett was on Different Strokes, of course, The Facts of Life, and also Hello, Larry. That I think that broke a record.
Yes, it did. Yeah. All I want is to people to read the book, because Charlotte Rae's life is quite different from Mrs. Garrett. I had lots of ups and lots of downs, and somehow or other, God gave me the strength, and it's a miracle I'm still here. Hi, this is Charlotte Rae, and the fact is, you're listening to Bob O'Brien.
It was a pleasure. Thank you, and good luck with the book.
Thank you, and I thank you. You're a good interviewer.
Well, I try. Thank you so much. Well, you're a great interviewee.